Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1099 of our daily content grind. You ready for it all to sound really awkward when I have to say like 1100 instead? 1000 just sounds so much better. Point being, today we're going to be looking at, well, we're not going to be looking at because copyright, but we will be going over the Studio Trigger animation they did for the 40th anniversary. Obviously, this is something that was very exciting when it first came up. I was thrilled because I love Studio Trigger, but this is not something I really planned to make a video for because like I kind of figured it would be what we got. I didn't expect like an OVA episode or a new series. I basically expected what we got, which is like kind of a retrospective animation music video, which was extremely cool, but that's about all I really gleaned. That's all I really expected. So I didn't think I'd do like 3 minutes, but then again, I am the guy who's turned like 2 minute trailers into 25-minute videos just discussing them. And everyone kind of asked me, are you going to be doing it? Are you going to ask? Are you going to do this? Had a few topics that took priority, but yeah, okay, fine. If people want me to talk about it, we'll talk about it because it was a pretty incredible video considering it's only 3 minutes of animation. Yeah, so we'll go over this. Studio Trigger, yeah, they're one of the better animation studios out of Japan. Like it's just ridiculous how cool some of their stuff comes out. So we're mostly just gonna go in sequence. I'm not gonna go over every reference. There are people who have done so much better at finding every reference than I could. Please go search those out if you want to spot and identify literally every single character in there, because there's a ton. I'm just gonna go over the stuff that I thought was really cool, my favorite moments, and yeah, we'll demonstrate like how deep some of the cuts get. And frankly, when you start with an awesome shot of Vector Prime, now I'm happy. Because like the first thing you show me out of the gate is, okay, it's not gonna be just G1 love. We're going other places. And to go immediately to Galaxy Force just makes me happy. It's actually a really cool framing device because we're gonna be seeing across the music video a lot of memorable scenes from past shows, but we're also gonna be seeing a lot of weird like fun mixes of universes. So having Vector Prime observing all of this, and even this shot itself is a reference in Transformers Cybertron, like after his death, and he's kind of watching from like in between time. This this video is just cool. And right after this, we started getting these like big montage shots and drawings of just like combat scenes. And again, we're getting these interesting mixes. This is just helicopters. They did this scene just for a bunch of helicopter transformers. You see Springer and Evac and Bulkhead and Sandstorm. Jolt is in there. Both Jolts are in this scene. And you also, excuse me if I use the American names, most people watching me saw the American version of a lot of this stuff, the English version. I understand we are looking at the Japanese cast for the majority of this, but just to avoid confusion and just so I'm not bouncing back and forth, I'm going to go with English names. But yeah, just a weird idea. Just let's all the helicopter transformers. And there's a bunch of scenes like this to start off where like everyone in the shots are kind of have this like bonded little part, like there's a scene of just all the aquatic transformers, there's a scene of just like morally ambiguous transformers that are that either like change mindset, change alignments at some point, or just like are just kind of weird about like personality, like weird connective tissue things. It showed some pretty horrific scenes too. Like we went from like these really fun collages of characters from different universes to just Ratchet and Jazz dying in a battle. Kind of brutal. And then shots like this. This is just a beach. It's just a beach loaded with generic Decepticons. And even this is a loving tribute because all of these are generic Decepticon designs from G1 piled up. So even then, like even this shot has like deep references. And you're going to, in this shot, you see like the Micromasters from Victory, like the Rescue Patrol. They are in there. So is Croatan. the Titan from Cyberverse. Not one I actually expected to see in this. I think seeing Vector Prime and this random mix of characters is a lot of fun, you know, but when we get to this shot, this is when I realized the scope of this video was like, we're going to see so much. They're going to hit literally everything. And there's only a few things they didn't hit, and they're mostly like American centric. You know, War for Cybertron has no representation, Machine Wars, but like the stuff that was basically just America stuff, you know? If it came to Japan, it's in this. It's in here. Or if it originated from Japan. So yeah, just really cool shots. And then like, here's a ton of jets. Here's a ton of jets and a ton of big ships. Like Scorponok and Tidal Waves and Trypticons. And Trypticon and Gigastorm in the same shot is kind of insane. And this is where I start realizing how deep the cuts are going to get. In the top left corner, that's the Decepticon Micromaster shuttle. Oh, I can't remember the name of it offhand. It's that deep cut obscure. They did use it in animation in Japan, but for us it was just like one of the bigger Micromaster things. That's a really deep thing to pull. And then you see just like on the far side of it, like you've got Transformers Prime stuff. You've got like you've got Predaking from Prime, which would actually I think be actually in this case it would be Dragotron. And you know, and beside them you got the flyers from Animated, including Blackout. Like you've got the Rainmakers from G1 just on the far left. Like it's crazy. It's crazy seeing all this mixed in. Also, freeze frame or you'll miss it. Kremzeek. Random Kremzeek thrown in, just chilling out in Starscream. We got shots of all the heroes, all the leaders, and Decepticon and Predacon leaders. This is pretty fantastic and very well attentive to detail. There's no duplicates in this. Like, if they are the same character fictionally, you don't see them. So, like, Energon, or in this case, I guess, Super Link Optimus, does not exist in this shot because Armada Optimus is in there. You know, and because in Japan, Galaxy Force was a separate series, not the end of a trilogy, Galaxy Convoy shows up. Which does remind me, we'll get to it soon. We're going to start getting into these like really fun mashups. It's like, this is already cool just to see all the leaders acknowledged, even the ones who aren't a convoy or a prime. Like Bumblebee's in there from RID 2015. Not a prime, but cool because he is a leader. And then we just get these really cool mashups that I loved. So it's, look at this. So you've got Master Megatron, or Cybertron Megatron with Nemesis Breaker, and he's battling the Green Lio convoy. And you know what the mesh here is? It's a lead villain and a lead hero both combined with lions, because the Green Lio convoy happens when he merges with Lio Jr. That's such a crazy parallel to make. Just to have that as the reason why these two are fighting is nuts. And it's even more specific than that, because Lio Convoy is using Magmatron's sword for this. It's such a... This was beautiful. Like, I loved this. Like, so much fun. You got the mother of all Obari sword poses. With 5 characters doing it at the same time, all different Autobot leaders. Star Saber appears in this twice. Galaxy Convoy appears in this twice. They are, both times, in the same shot. They are animated together. It makes me so happy. 2 of my all-time favorites just being drawn into the same scene is insane to me. And I think this showing off all this is cooler than the shot that came after, which is just all the convoys doing that have like big blast attacks, which is cool. This looks cooler to me. One shot I thought was a lot of fun, and again, a parallel. I just, okay, well, hang on, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm getting excited about this all over again. I've been watching this thing for days, and I'm still excited over it. You get this mix of the Armada trilogy kids, or the actually just the Armada kids, and the Prime kids, because they share a parallel. They are the kid companions for Transformers who have designated like Transformer companions. So we see the street action mini cons with them. We see even Laserbeak is there. And then for the Prime cast, it's it's everyone who had a partner kid in that show, which is a great thing to mesh up. I think this is the spot. I think this is the spot where I started to realize this is the first time we've seen a lot of these characters in traditional 2D animation. I've never seen the Prime characters in 2D when it isn't fan art. I've never seen Miko animated when it isn't, 2D. And I think it's great. It's probably completely accidental. But this is like, there's a lot of shots in this that are just really well done trigger drawings, just done with like pans and zooms to create like an animated illusion. They're not actual animation segments. Probably how Takara could afford to do this by shortcutting a little bit here and there. But the one piece of this that is animated is a close-up of Miko blinking at the camera. And I think that's appropriate because the story always was, when they were animating Transformers Prime, Miko was the animator's favorite. So they always made sure to give her like more motion, more action. It's probably not an intentional reference, just to have her as the only one who shows any motion in the scene. But if it is intentional, it's madness that they went to that level. I would like to think they did. Here's another parallel I never considered. And again, considering my love of Victory and Galaxy Force, you'd think I would. So it's a shot for both of the young couples in Transformers. The original from Victory, which is John and Illumina, and then Kobe and Lori from Galaxy Force or Cybertron. And they both share the parallels of like, they're two pairs that are crushing on each other in their shows. They both have piloted mechs that they can ride in, and they both eventually get married. At Cybertron, we saw it at the very end. In Victory, you have to go to some extended materials, but that's how those two end up. I never even thought of that parallel, and it's so fantastic. I love this. And then we have the shot of what I call like the frontline humans, the ones who fought right alongside the Transformers in battles. This is, again, a great little shot. I love the mix. I love random little things like Roadbuster or Ironhide. I keep mixing them up. I'm sorry. He's in his super mode colors, which happens periodically. It's got interesting choices. What I love in the shot is that Sari's jump kick here is the pose that Kicker does in the Super Link intro. So even though Kicker is like right there, she's doing a Kicker reference. I think it's such a weird thing to homage, and I love it. Let's see. I put this in just in case you were wondering where this came from. It's from Transformers Zone. It's the flowers that appeared in that episode. Deep cut. Fascinating shot. So keep in mind, in Japan, they never got season 3 of Transformers Prime. So they just sent all those toys off to be part of Transformers Go. That means that the buff Optimus Prime in this shot is not an enhanced version of Prime Optimus. It is a brand new one, who then becomes Optimus X Prime, who you see in the back. So they're all three the same character, but technically not. Like, it's a fun little throw-in. Just see all three of those in the same shot. And that brought us into like a long segment for Transformers Go, which was kind of surprising to me. Really surprising to me. Because I don't think of Go as like a major deal. Because it wasn't a full-length cartoon. It had some like weirdness like in its presentation. And it's a very short-run toy line that a lot of American fans weren't really big on. But I do acknowledge that it's one of the most recent pieces of media produced specifically for Japan. for Transformers. Like, it's getting kind of rare because the US handles it between movies and cartoons. US has handled that side of it for a long time now. So it's a weird little footnote, but that it got so much time, and no time meshed up, by the way. They didn't throw in any of the other like 3-piece combiners from over the years or anything. It's just a short little love letter to Transformers Go, which is a fascinating choice. The montage of characters who had memorable deaths in Transformers, I thought that was a really good touch. Just as like a memorial piece, kind of. That was interesting. A scene I absolutely loved. Seeing Optimus and Optimus Prime and Primal charging together and then combining into Optimal. And then the Megatrons doing the same thing. Just to see them together, like animated together, I think is awesome. And to see my favorite take on Beast Wars Megatron in like 2D animation is really cool. They even put in a little Beast Machines nod. They tried to hit everything they could. Literally everything. Here's one for Derek. So, Optimus Prime from, the finale of Animated, taking on G1 Overlord, and specifically replacing God Jinrai, who is in this scene. Trigger redid a scene from Master Force for this shot, and they just swapped in Animated Prime, which is an interesting juxtaposition to see this. Derek would have been geeking out so hard knowing that like a big deal anime studio like Trigger was actually like doing justice to one of his designs. I think like he would have gone nuts over this. I threw this in because I just think this is a fantastic shot of Rodimus Prime. And I'm happy that it's not just focusing on Primes and Megatrons. We got a lot of love for some extra characters and the leaders that kind of get forgotten in fiction these days. And it's just a great shot of like Sparkplug holding the Armada Matrix to Rodimus Prime holding the proper one, holding it properly as well with his fingers in the grip. And then, of course, Diatlas at the top holding up... I knew I would forget it. I knew I'd forget what the power source in Zone was, because it's been so long since I watched Zone. Here's another thing I never thought I would see. The movie cast in 2D animation. And I want to say this is one of the rare times we see them actually roll out all together like this, properly roll out as an Autobot squad. Because in the movie it was during a big chase sequence, so it was really disjointed. I don't remember seeing all 5 of them together like this, except in the dark or in a chase scene. But this feels like a proper Autobot charge. This is definitely the first time we've ever seen the entirety of the 07 Decepticons together in fiction. They didn't even do this in the movies or the games, to my knowledge, because by the time Megatron wakes up, Bone Crusher's dead. So there's no point where Bone Crusher and Megatron are active at the same time in any fiction. This is cool to see. This is kind of cool. As much disdain as I have now for movie aesthetic, this is actually, it's still kind of cool to see things like this. The animation got super weird for this section. But you know what? I'll give it to them. I'm assuming that different branches of Trigger and different studios were handling, different departments and groups were handling different things. So different styles were going to mix in at some point. Perfectly fine. It's, it's just how this goes sometimes. And we got this shot. The ending shot I thought was really, really cool. So you've got G1 Optimus and Megatron just kind of facing off. They're being watched by literally all the different families in Transformers. Again, the mashup of this is fantastic. And again, the Maltos, first time, the only time we're going to see them in 2D animation. And right beside the original family of the Witwickies. That is fantastic again. I love seeing it. And it transitions to the shot of the Earthspark Optimus and Megatron shaking hands. Remember, Earthspark uses G1 designs to represent the past versions of these characters. So to see them kind of shaking hands, getting along here, like, it's not only like a nice way of concluding the video, because like modern depictions are a little bit more like this these days, but also it's a really cool way of referencing like Earthspark and how they handle the G1 designs, and kind of show like the transition between 40 years ago and today. It's a, whether however you view it, it's just a really well done ending. With one weird thing to it. Because the scene preceding this is Prime punching out Megatron. And it does feel really weird to go from like Optimus literally flying punch Megatron like this, to Megatron standing on the ground, like turning to look at Prime and then just shaking hands. Felt a little weird. Like I felt like this would have worked better if this was like toward the beginning of the video. Like where you see G1 Prime and Megatron like starting a fight, and then showing like the two like shaking hands at the end. It's like the ending of the fight. So it kind of bookend the whole thing. But no, that was just it's just a little bit of an awkward transition. It's like one of the only grievances I could give the video. The other one, admittedly, is the fact that the song of the video is fantastic, by the way, and it's a song by Bump of Chicken. And if you remember that, if you haven't heard that name before, but it is ringing a bell recently, it is because they're the ones who produced this weirdly colored Optimus Prime that we covered in News Roundup a couple weeks ago. It was like the fact that it took place during the funeral, like the montage of the fallen characters, like the ones with the death scene, like the memorable heroic deaths in Transformers. The fact that it came during that, I think, makes it a little bit in poor taste, because this is like a second of this video that reminds me, oh right, they're trying to sell a toy. I think it's, but like that's me nitpicking. They did the video, they got the right to like throw that in, so the band can have some reference in there. Okay, that's fine. Give the band their due, put their version of Prime in it somewhere. But it did feel like it tainted it just a little bit, because for a second it felt toy commercially. But then again, you could also argue that is perfectly on brand. But point being, it's 3 minutes of joy. It's pure Transformers love in 3 minutes. There's so many deep cuts, so many references, so many cool mix-ups, so many characters I never thought I would see animated again. And just overall, absolutely fantastic video for the 40th anniversary. Perfect way of celebrating the history of Transformers. And now I have to cross my fingers and hope that this does the same thing that the Gridman animation did, and make people go, oh my god, this would be so cool if you did this and that. And Studio Trigger gets to produce like a full 13 episode multiversal Transformers nonsense thing. This is also the video that made me realize Transformers has never really done multiversal stuff except for 3 times I can remember. The Rise of the Darkspark video game, G1 Galvatron showing up in the Dreamwave Armada books, and what was the other one? Not the RID, because they're all not IDW, because they're all new characters. What was the other one? I can't remember. I thought of them before the video. Now I can't remember the last multiverse thing they did. Robot Masters. The Robot Masters line. That was the other one. But yeah, this was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like I said, there are people who have broken it down if you want to catch every single reference and know what every single thing in the video was. People have done that already. I'm literally just gushing over it. And like I said, I've managed to turn it into more than 20 minutes of conversation. So, those are my thoughts. Feel free to geek out about it below. That's what we're here for after all. And as always, I will see you next time.